Hi, my name is Roberto Alvarez, and I'm a senior at St. Louis Park High School.
I'm Ruby Vaya, and I'm also a senior at St. Louis Park High School.
I'm Amisha Prasad, and I'm a sophomore at St. Louis Park High School.
I'm Leo Schmall, and I'm a sophomore at St. Louis Park High School.
And me and Ruby are going to be giving some advice to these sophomore kids who will need it for the upcoming rest of their high school years to come. So do you guys have any questions for us as sophomores to seniors?
Well, I just had some questions because I know that you were in ESP and you took AP Spanish and the teachers and the curriculum. So I had more questions like that as what you think about it, because I know personally I feel like I'm not really learning that much.
Yeah, I understand that. I think AP Spanish language and culture is a lot different than literature. Literature, which is what you're going to take your junior year, all you're doing basically is reading old texts and kind of interpreting them, and it's a lot of memorization. So language is more about if you know Spanish or not, which since you went to PSI, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've gone to PSI, it's kind of like a free class, and you're supposed to just get a 4 or 5 because you've been speaking Spanish your entire life. So it doesn't feel like you're learning anything, probably because you're not really. It's just more how to write things specifically in the way that College Board wants you to. And Roberto also is an ESP student. So if you have anything else to say.
I'd definitely say junior year is I feel the peak of Spanish of what we've been doing so far our entire life. I think last year's the most difficult. Yeah, sophomore. Right now, sophomore Spanish is I would say it's pretty relaxed, pretty mellow. But next year it gets a lot more challenging. I would say personally.
And the test I think is a lot harder because you're writing 4 different essays, and then you have to read these paragraphs. I don't know. I thought it was really hard. Personally.
Yeah, I would say that too. You're junior year is going to be very. It's going to be a lot. With a lot of standardized testings like the ACT and the SAT, taking harder classes, trying to show that if you end up going to a university or college, I do think.
Yeah.
Me and Ruby could attest to that. To junior year, it was a rough year.
It was a struggle for sure.
It was a struggle. Leo, do you have any questions for us?
I like the SAT stuff. Is that really stressful as people make it sound?
Yeah, I personally, kind of balancing out through I took harder classes last year, so balancing through that, especially echo and studying for this test, it does a lot mentally. So I think I would say the best way to do is just organize your time really well, and I would try and get your ACT done as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I would try and do that beginning of the year so you don't have to worry about it, and make sure you get a good score, and if you don't, try and retake it as soon as possible. But to keep up with those other really hard classes, because it's a challenge, I'd say.
I agree. And going off of the thing about the ACT, one thing I regretted is not starting sooner with studying. I put off studying until the summer after my junior year and into my senior year for the September one this year that I took, and it didn't really pay off personally, but I honestly would start studying after sophomore year and going into junior year and taking it in the fall of your sophomore year, because then, or junior year I guess, because then if it doesn't go the way that you planned it to, the school has a school issued one in March that you can always take that's free. So I would take it before, or maybe have a benchmark of what, baseline of what your education, or not education, but I don't even know how to say it.
Yeah, I know what
how
you mean.
good you are at standardized testing, and also over the summer you have 10 times more time to study than you do during the school year.
Yeah.
I got too stressed out with my regular classes to have this other thing on top to study for the ACT, and it's just a headache, and I don't know. But I would get one of the books. I thought it was helpful.
I thought it was helpful. I took the in-person classes every Saturday, and I thought it kind of helped, but I thought.
I don't think it's worth the money. They're so expensive.
No, it's not, and it's every Saturday for a month from like 9 to 12. It's awful.
Yeah.
Just get the book and study through the questions, because that's probably what's going to be on the test, or just go on YouTube.
Or YouTube, I know.
Like,
I feel
it's
like
so nice.
YouTube is so underrated. It's so helpful.
Yeah. And I would say the same, like, when you go into your senior year, like, try and get your essay done in the summer. Because I procrastinated until, like, last week to finish it and get everything done before November 1st. So I think even as a senior, like, trying to, like, juggle with, like, all the college stuff, I would just try and not procrastinate and put it off. I would try and get it done with. Same with the standardized test. Get that done as soon as you can, because your junior year is going to be a lot more difficult than your sophomore year, for sure.
I agree. And also, like, I would even start thinking of essay topics now, because that's what took me the longest time, is trying to figure out what I was going to write about. But I agree with Roberta. I procrastinated a lot on my college stuff, so I would write supplementals earlier, especially if you know where you're applying, because that takes time and you have to edit those too. So just, I don't know. Like, I thought, like, as a sophomore, I was like, oh, junior year's not going to be that bad. I'm pretty, like, academically inclined. I'll be fine. But, like, it's a lot harder.
Yeah, the jump from, like, sophomore to, like, because, like, sophomore, at least for me, I like to, like, maybe 1 or 2 AP classes, but, like, juniors, when it came to, like, 3 to 4, and then you have to add in the fact. I mean, I love Echo, but, like, Echo sometimes just put a toll with, like, everything, especially last year, like, with organizing everything. That's why I, like, really, like, emphasize the fact that I think you should be really organized on, like, what you need to get done junior year, because the amount of mental breakdowns I had was awful.
Yeah, agreed.
And, like, I do think junior year was, like, fine. It was great. Not to make it sound like a whole nightmare, but, like...
Yeah, don't be, like, too scared.
Don't be too scared. You got this. But, like, there's definitely some challenges.
Yeah. Do you guys have any more questions?
Well, it's just, so you guys talked a lot about, like, how important it is to manage your time, but, like, what are ways that you would, like, kind of recommend that? Because, like, don't you guys, like, both do, like, sports and stuff, too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, a good sleep schedule for me, like, I have the worst sleep schedule, and it really takes a toll on, like, me falling asleep in class, and then I fall behind on stuff because I'm not understanding anything. But I would just come up with a routine, like, you wake up at this time, go to school, really lock in your classes, because I feel like that's really beneficial. Like, when I put my phone down and I actually pay attention to the classes and I understand what I'm doing, it makes the homework, like, 10 times easier, so then you're not stressing at night. And then, like, obviously if you have sports, go to practice or whatever, and then try and go to bed at a good time, because it hits, like, a moment where, like, for me personally, after, like, 10 or 11 o'clock, I'll be trying to do my homework and I'm not doing anything productive, and it just stresses me out more. And so I would just go to bed, honestly, and just try and stay off your phone. But, like, I don't really have anything specific.
No, I'd relate to what Ruby says about the sleeping thing, because I'd, like, try and grind out, like, 3 hours of work to, like, 1 a.m., but, like, realistically, I'm not really understanding what I'm reading or studying. So, like, at any point after, like, 10, like, if you just feel tired, just go to sleep.
Yeah.
Even if you have homework due next day or anything like that, just go to sleep at that point, because, like, just try and be more focused in class than, like, be tired in class by, like, thinking you learned something the night before, even though you probably didn't, because you were really tired, and getting, like, 5 hours of sleep. So, I'd really attest to the sleeping, because me personally, my sleeping schedule was awful last year. Going to bed at, like, 2 to 3 a.m. studying for a pre-calc test, or for a push, or finishing an Echo story. Like, it does take a toll, and I think as long as you're doing, like, the seasonal sports, like, I think you should be pretty fine. Like, that is a stressful time. I feel like, personally, even during the soccer season this fall, I think Ruby could probably do the same. Like, it was just really busy.
Yeah.
And, like, you just kind of have to get through it, and then your schedule gets a lot better, I feel like, and you can organize your time better.
Also, I would really take advantage of study halls. Like, my freshman year, I took 2 study halls, and then I didn't take any my sophomore, junior year, but I really wish I did. And and even still now, I wish I kind of use them better, because occasionally I'll call myself out, or I'll, like, skip my study hall because I don't technically need to be there. but I want to start getting into the habit of locking in and doing my college stuff because I always have something to do. Even if I have all my homework done, I can always be working ahead and writing supplementals or refining my personal statement or just applying for scholarships even. And so there's always something you can do. So taking advantage of your study hall and not just sitting on your phone or goofing off with your friends. Obviously you can do that once in a while because it's fun. It's not like school has to be a chore all the time, but just having a good balance in between school and social things is good.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other questions or?
No.
I feel like I had one and then I forgot
Yeah.
it because
That's
I was
okay.
just listening to what you're saying and I'm I can I really when I really think about it, it's I know so many people who I feel are gonna have such a bad junior year because they're just they're not doing anything and I just sit in class and I'm watching them and the teacher literally gives you time to do this and you're gonna wait until the last minute the night before to do it. In
Yeah.
world history she was gone so much and then we would have class time to do notes and stuff and I was sick for a while and then I came back and people are still talking about how they're not done with notes and I'm
Oh gosh.
you gotta be kidding.
I think if both of you guys are taking APUSH next year, I hated APUSH. I really struggled in that class, and so it's probably because I wouldn't really pay attention, which was my fault, and I wouldn't do the readings. And so honestly, I would really, really stress to do the readings, do the terms and conditions, and don't just Google them, look for them in the textbook, because the one unit I actually did, I got a B on the test, and that was my best grade in the class.
Yeah,
And I was really proud of myself.
Honestly, just take time out of your day to actually try and study.
Cause that's the class that ruined my GPA. I had a 4.0 until APUSH because I just didn't lock in, and I really regret not locking in. But it's okay. History's not really my subject, so but how long have we been
Okay,
talking?
cool, great. That was a great talk. Thank you for listening.